We're live.
I think I got that in just before it went live.
That's what she said, but yeah, we are back again, and we are going to be talking about some cloud gaming news. Thank you for putting the questions in already, Shadow Dark. We will come to them. But Barry, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm busy. I've literally like just walked in the door from work, so it's been a hectic day. But I am good. I'm good. I got my Steam Deck last week. I've got some gaming in over the weekend. I'm happy. How about you?
I'm reasonably enough happy. I've been playing a load of games as well across everything under the sun. So yeah, it's not too bad, not too bad. So Barry with the Steam Deck, I've just seen there. Barry, how are you finding the Steam Deck?
I absolutely love it. It's been brilliant to the point that apart from I don't know, maybe one or two videos that I recorded over the weekend, I've not touched anything else to game other than my Steam Deck. My only frustration with it is I keep having to put it on charge because I keep killing the battery.
Here, the battery in the Steam Deck is a bit pantsy at times.
Yeah, it is. But do you know what? If you consider its purpose, it's actually, unless you're on a stupidly long haul flight, most bits of commute or out and about, you're probably going to play in short bursts. You're not necessarily going to play for 2-3 hour sessions. So it completely fits the bill.
Yeah. Seen Andy's in chat. Hi, Andy. Thanks for joining. As you may see here, we're taking Andy's advice. We're going to be calling this. We're going old school. We're going to call it CGX Cast. So we're going to fiddle about with this a wee bit until I like it. But Steam Deck, I've said it before, and I will say it again. Steam Deck and GFN go hand in hand, and any of the other cloud gaming. PC cloud gaming services.
I haven't even touched cloud on it yet, to be honest.
I don't think there's any point. But yeah, I just lift it, play it in the hand, and away I go. When I want to go onto the full screen, I go onto the full screen. Like everything Tencent F1 Manager on GFN and stuff like. It's just brilliant, and just to go between the two. So, yeah, it's all fun. So where was I going with this here? Does anybody know?
Only you know.
Only I know. Okay. Where shall we start?
We can start wherever you like.
Well, we'll save my rant for a wee bit longer.
Oh, okay. You want to save that one, yeah? I thought you might want to get that out of the way.
I'm thinking about. We've got a question from. Oh, I know where I was going. I just remembered. If you remember, you may have seen our members video on Monday. I'm just going to say something in the members video, which for some wider sort of discussions, we are reducing some of our steroid stuff for the time being. Just putting that out there. We discussed it. There's some things we're not too happy with, and that's all I'm going to go on with that.
I think that just about says it.
That says it. So, Shadow Dark is here. Question. See, I've got done we updates and everything here. Let's see.
Hey, look, you're on the ball. You are on the ball.
I'm on the ball for a change. Question regarding the upcoming 2K23 and in general games. I just really my mic's away, far away. Fire precision time. Do you think developers are going to have to make alliances in games being played in the cloud for input delay?
I guess it depends which service you're pushing to, but I think as part of that, I would definitely say that if you're working with the likes of Microsoft, if you're working with Luna, GFN, multiple people. I think there's definitely. I don't necessarily want to say that they have to make allowances. I think they need to kind of feed that into how the game kind of plays and making sure that when they've gone, if they know they're putting it onto a cloud platform, rather than making allowances, the testing process is right so that they know that when it comes to cloud players that do want to enjoy it actually get the best experience, because ultimately we enjoy playing in the cloud and we want it to feel like it should locally. So what we actually need the devs to be doing is working with the platform holders and making sure that testing is done properly, so that actually the input is kind of almost becomes null and void. It's it's non-existent.
Yeah, there's some games out there. Oh, I can see it in my head. Yep, I remember that Thumper on Stadia was developed, and they added a bit of extra timing because it's getting played in the cloud. But regarding online sort of matches, there could be instances where playing in the cloud you could actually be faster, but just depending on where thing. It's complicated, basically.
Yep.
But as we move more and more into the cloud world, cloud gaming world, where everything is cloud first for a lot of people, I think there will be tweaks and balances added in as time goes on. We've seen coming out from Gamescom, Xbox seems to have had a smashing demonstration of xCloud going on there, and a ton of people have came back very, very impressed with Xbox. And we know Stadia was there as well. They had a presence with developers and whatnot. But yeah, it's an exciting time because it seems that it's becoming more and more mainstream. If you see me peering across every so often, I'm keeping an eye on the Liverpool match as we're doing this. Because I've missed the last couple, so I need to catch up on them. You know what it's like. But yeah,
they're still rubbish. Don't worry.
They're still rubbish, I know. But yeah, I think there will be games having alliances, and Thumper on Stadia is one game which has got that. It's going to say PGA Tour 2K23. I know a lot of people absolutely love that in Stadia because it was well developed for Stadia. I had issues with it on Stadia, but it must have been because I was rubbish at the game. But
it's a shame Zero's not in the chat, because I know Zero used to play PGA on Stadia quite a bit, and some of it was pretty bad, if I'm honest. And I know that's why I don't want to speak for Zero, but I know he made some particular choices in terms of PC and where he was going to play PGA because of how it performed, and had a better experience off the back of it. And he's actually ended up playing his PGA local rather than in the cloud.
Yep. It's all fun. So it is. So who else is here? We've got young Andy Morphs. Ben is in the chat.
Evening.
Kevin is in the chat. Okay, here is a question. It's a question that comes up a fair bit. Why do game companies not want to put their games on the GFN? You've bought the game. Why would they stop them?
Who's going first?
I'll go for the boring sort of ones. It's actually very complicated because we do have talks with GFN all the time. Not all the time, but every so often, every number of weeks, we have like a little chit chat, and some things come out with that. One of the things is about how games actually come on to GFN, and it's actually it's a bit more complicated than just hitting the button and away you go. There's licensing can be an issue that they're not allowed to actually put the game on the GFN because they haven't got all the boxes ticked for all the different things. Also, there is companies out there who want to be paid to put their games on the GFN, even though it's a low cost port. I wasn't actually meaning to do a bit of a thing there, but yeah, because it's really easy to put, relatively easy to put the games on the GFN. They still want money for their games to go on the GFN because they feel like they're going to be losing out money, even though you've bought them in some other place, and them games going on the GFN will bring some value to GFN, so they should be getting some of the money out from that, even though GFN don't make any money for putting games. It's really complicated. So it's basically licensing's one, money's another one. I'll let you say if there's anything more which I have forgot about.
I was going to say sometimes, I guess, dependent on. I mean, it's less of an issue now, isn't it? But it's certainly at previous points, there's making sure that all of the features can be delivered properly, and implementation. So like I'm thinking about Far Cry 6. When Far Cry 6, even though Ubisoft obviously put Far Cry 6 onto the service, when it first launched, it didn't have RTX. So it didn't have the ray tracing which it had on PC. And so, they had to kind of work to have some in-place upgrades done, behind the scenes in order to kind of then go back and then retrospectively enable that. I guess, and for some developers, that puts a barrier in the way, because they naturally want to be, when they ship a game to, let's say, a PC. Yes, obviously it depends on what graphics card the user's got, but they've got minimum and recommended specs in order to deliver all of the features. And sometimes, if they can't deliver all the features, sometimes that puts a little bit of skepticism. I think the other one is ultimately is generally, I completely understand, the question, but I think there's still a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, that makes it sound maybe more widespread, but there's certainly still some developers there that are cloud skeptic. They're not quite sure as to whether they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out, what to do, what's right, what's not to do. Should they sit back and see how it pans out? Do they want to be, they've maybe watched other developers do it, try it, get some flack for maybe not updating stuff, not putting DLC out, a multitude of things that are, kind of connected to cloud. And I guess some developers probably look at it and go, actually, do you know what, we'll let that pan out for a little while longer. We'll sit in the skeptic, side of the camp and see what happens.
Yeah, one thing to note is GFN have now got an SDK out there, which is actually going to make it even easier to bring games to GeForce now. And they are building something there. It's not a secret. Anybody can go and watch the developer conferences, which they have got. Again, this is something you don't push consumers to developer conferences, but if you go watch these developer conferences, if you're really into these sort of things, you can actually get a number of interesting things. And that's one of the things that's just coming out. GFN are developing an SDK to get games onto Stadia easier. They're encouraging developers to do play testing on GFN now because it's a PC, and there's lots of things behind the scenes that way. I think you're going to see some deals which were maybe unexpected coming. Again, this is not us knowing anything. This is just speculation out there. And it's really cool. And I'm just making sure I can say this, but because I think we're already beginning to see some interesting sort of ones. I'm just double checking. Yes, I can't say this.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going? Maybe not. We
think I know where you're going, but I'm never sure.
Well, we do know that there is a Lego game coming to GFN this week, Lego Brawl. That was announced by GFN yesterday in a tweet. That is coming later this week. It's not a big Lego Telltale.
Yeah.
But it is another Lego game coming to GFN. So it's actually cool to see some of these interesting sort of developments come out. And the longer they build these tools for the devs, the more likely I think the games will eventually come onto GFM.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I mean, I think there's some of the updates there that you see. Interestingly, actually, if we go back to Shadow Dart's question about kind of do developers, do we think they will have to make allowances and stuff like that? There are little pieces that kind of, when we attach that to what you've just said about watching some of the developer conferences or some of the technology related conferences that maybe NVIDIA do, there's a lot of stuff that they're doing. Obviously last year was all about the SuperPod. And there was a huge amount of talk around the SuperPod and the power that can yield, what it can deliver, all those sorts of things. But then if you watch some of the stuff earlier in the year, they're making references to kind of things like core switches in kind of data centers and the way that they communicate to reduce latency and reduce communication between all the different network layers and the different devices and those sorts of things, which are going to contribute to a more positive experience in something like the SuperPod as you go kind of further down the road. And there, sometimes when you pick those little bits up, you watch a complete tech thing and you think, why am I watching this? Because it's actually not cloud related. But when you actually listen to what they're saying and the use case for it, you can understand the implementation down the line as a consumer is going to benefit and contribute towards parts in some of these platforms.
Yeah. And in the next week or the week after, NVIDIA have got their big conference again. They do these big conferences. Again, I've been talking about it. Omniverse is a big feature of this, and Omniverse and GFN are getting very, very blurry, we will say. There's a lot of crossover. So that's what I'm hoping maybe down the line is we might be able to get some tools on the GFN as well, do like some applications and stuff like that, and just get GFN more rounded out as maybe a fuller sort of PC sort of thing, and not a PC in the cloud like Shadow, but more, what's the word I'm looking for? Streamlined, a PC console in the sky where you've got the different applications and you're already set up for you, and away you go. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that, because they are going down that sort of route. And if you follow GFN closely, you do see cloud is a massive focus. And when they do their conference, NVIDIA do mention GeForce Now. It's not a dirty little secret out there which doesn't get mentioned. It is there. This is powered by our GeForce Now sort of things. The conference in a couple of weeks, I know the 40 series is probably going to get the big thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if we hear something GFM related there, maybe something big coming, like a big publisher back.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So yeah, there's just lots going on with that.
I've just seen Andy's comment.
Oh, which comment?
Yeah. Everyone gently caress that like button.
Okay. Kevin, thanks for joining us. If you started using Luna and Stadia for the past week, impressive. Thanks very much, and that's what we were trying to do. If there's any questions at all, just drop them in, and we will try and answer them. If it requires a video, we will try and get a video done as well. Happy question. Do we see Tencent win much of the client gaming market if they focus in Asia with the Logitech handheld? Yes, we're going to be talk about Tencent are massive, and I don't think people always underestimate Tencent and how many hooks and claws they've got into people. Like today, they've just added a bigger stake into From Software along with PlayStation as well. Yeah, they are going to be a massive player. I think it's how much do they creep west? That is the question.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I think they're. I hope I mean, it might sound slightly offensive because I don't really think they're sleeping, but they're almost a sleeping giant. And I think that, by that is, feeding into what you were saying. I don't think maybe people realise the size and scale of what they have, what they've got. How many pies they've got their fingers into, things that they're working on that they want to try and achieve. But if you think about it, to a degree, uh, you know, if their strategy is probably pretty clear. If you look at, let's look at Luna starting in the US, trying to go out. Other companies start in the US and go out. Boosteroid started in Europe, they've gone out. Microsoft have done what they're doing. Microsoft are trying to get into the Eastern market as kind of Tencent are kind of, and if you kind of lay the foundations and the cement for a large chunk of that Eastern and Asian market, and do decide that you want to go, I mean, to be honest, on population alone, you could pretty much go, do you know what, that's our market, happy days, we're fine. But you've always got the potential to expand. And I think that's what you will see there. And when you look at the technologies, internet speeds, mobile speeds, all the things that they've got in those areas, they're defining and developing products and technology on services that are superior to what we're using right now. So we're not ready for what they're working on as such, if you like. Don't get me wrong, we've got good speeds, in a lot of places, but it's not in comparison to what those parts of the world are using and operating on. And that is, it's almost one eye on kind of what they're doing, how they do it with those kind of speeds to understand really where the market's going. And that's the interesting thing about cloud right now is you've kind of got your mainstream focus, but then you've got that little, I don't want to say little, but you've got that side pod of everything else going on that probably a lot of people might not keep an eye on. They might not watch, but actually they're all the future technologies, the future speeds and things that are going to feed in to where we're heading really. He's done it again. He's on mute.
I've just realized I've got all my Steam Deck and gadgets all behind me here. All making it. I'm going to get shouted at.
I was just going to say you'll get shouted at later.
Yes. With the second part of that, the Logitech device, what do you think about that?
And I probably know less about that than yourself, other than I remember it's probably 5-6 weeks ago seeing the tie-up, and kind of announcing that tie-up and working on it. I mean, to me, if you are working with a brand like that, you're not messing around. let's be honest. Logitech. How many people that game on PC have got, a Logitech Lightspeed mouse or keyboard or headsets, all those different sorts of things, the peripherals that go with their computers. If you are working on something like that, you're clearly working towards a very targeted goal, and you've very carefully selected somebody who is a good technology partner to help you deliver it. So I don't think it's one that can be written off.
The biggest thing about this is going to be the price point. Price point is going to be key. As we've seen in the screenshots, it looks like it's going to be Android based, so that means Stadia is going to be on it absolutely fine, even though it hasn't shown up on the screenshots. That's because it's a tie-up between Xbox and GFN. So GFN and Xbox are working with Logitech to make this device as good as possible. So I'm hoping it's going to be cheap, have a good screen, and a big battery. It shouldn't really need anything really pushing it for that, or obviously a good internet Wi-Fi connection. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be the first iteration of that, so it may not work too well the first time round, and if we get a second one, it could get better. Just like the good old Steam Deck, it works really, really well. but there's a couple of wee tweaks here and there which I would to just push it on a wee bit. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. I do want to get my hands on it, but I think it needs to be. I'm gonna put a really bad price in this. For me, I think it needs to be about £100, 150 at a stretch.
I would have said 150, 199.
I think if it goes 200, it's too much.
I think that's the top end of the bracket, but I can see why you'd say that though.
Yeah, I think it needs to be pretty cheap, and it looks pretty cheap to be honest with you. But it's going to be intriguing on how it goes.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is.
Okay, Liam can't wait for Dead Island 2 on Stadia and get him raked. Man City are 3-0 up. Liverpool lost the league in the first couple of matches. You can't drop that many points because they basically need to go the whole season now, winning every single game, more or less.
It's difficult. It's difficult to say. City will slip up. When they're least expected, they'll slip up.
Against United,
I could hope.
Do we think we'll ever see Phil Harrison around Stadia again? I would love to see anybody around Stadia, not even just Phil Harrison. I want someone to come out here because everybody seems to be just disappearing from Stadia. You see some name. There is no public face of Stadia, and that is a real shame. There's nobody out there who you can go, that is the definite face of Stadia. You can go, face of PlayStation is, I forgot his name, but you know, your bloke. What's his name?
Jim.
And then you've got Phil as Xbox, and then you've got your Nintendo guys, depending on where you are in the world with your Nintendo Directs. It's for a full-on, and Nvidia's got theirs as well. Everybody seems to have on bar Luna, same putting Luna under the bus, and Stadia. I would really want to see someone grab Stadia by the Henry Halls and just say this. I'm Stadia. I'm going to be the Stadia person, but no one seems to be really wanting that mantra. And because you just see out from Stadia on their social media and other things, they have a good wee dig at people or put something funny on Twitter, and then you don't hear. It's just by the numbers. Like that, the one from a couple of weeks ago about the family adventure, and they heard that Stadia was closing down, it was merging into this, and they made a joke out from that, and that was it. And there hasn't been, it didn't capitalize, and we just need somebody to around Stadia. But do I think we're going to see Phil Harrison around Stadia again? No, I think the next time we hear out from Phil Harrison about Stadia, it is Phil Harrison is completely away from Stadia now. That's what I think. Or Phil has left.
I think Phil's already left.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. The fact that we've got, and it's your fault, I'm blaming you. Dov Simring, the fact that he's kind of featured more recently with articles or talking with Stadia, especially how connected he was in the early development, I think the Phil ship has sailed. I think he's doing something different already, and there's been a loose tactile move to kind of lessen the heat, because I think they're very aware that if they said that Phil was gone, one, Phil himself would probably get a lot of heat, and two, I don't think it would do anything for brand reputation if it was the case that Phil was gone as well, because I think that would. I know he's not been visible and he's not been present since we last seen, since obviously we last seen him, which feels like ages ago. But I do think it would be you've got to protect the person because ultimately he's a human being, and the kind of swathe of crap that would probably be thrown his way if he exited, or if it was made public that he'd exited, would be huge. Oh dear, Liverpool are losing, or they just missed an opportunity. So I think you've got a responsibility there to protect the individual, which is why I think he's gone and nobody's mentioned it. And then second, you've still got to maintain a brand image that doesn't dent any further confidence that the moves that have already been made have done so already, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Phil has the reputation of a kiss of death, and that is the reputation of him. But the strange thing is, he did have a decent enough reputation for a while, and then it just deteriorated.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, I think he seems to be okay as a sort of person out there. From what I'm saying, he's got a great deal of respect out there in the industry, but I just wish there was something out from Stadia in general, even if it's not even Phil Harrison.
Doesn't have Stadia in his job title anymore.
Yeah,
that was a while back.
Yeah. Colin, thanks for joining us. Question: will we see in the movie industry? We see that they share content. Do you think that is what Phil Spencer meant with that we will see less exclusive games going forward? No, he was very, very clever with his words. I'll let you explain.
No, you carry on, because I'd probably make a hash of it. But
this is what you get to learn these sort of things as you go on. There is something called PR speak, and he was using a PR. Less exclusive games going forward, or what's a console? Basically, it's everything is rolling into one. It's going to be ecosystem exclusives, which is a difference. The sort of, I'm going to say this badly, like Apple TV. Apple TV, I can watch on the phone, on whatever. You can just go between them all, but it is an Apple TV exclusive show I'm watching. You only can watch it there where Apple stuff lives. It's going to be the same. It's going to be a Xbox ecosystem exclusive. So if you play Xbox on your TV, you're playing it, the exclusive there, but you're not. So it's not going to be a console exclusive. It's something we've been yapping at time and time and again. It's ecosystems, and that is the war we're moving into, and we've seen it again today. It's everybody is building up all their content, and if Game Pass went on to PlayStation, which it doesn't look like it will, you'll be able to play it there. That is what it's going to boil down to.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, I think in some respects, there's also Jesus. In some respects as well, when you are when you're an organisation, and I know this partly reiterates part of what you were just saying, but when you're an organisation that's got a large focus on cloud, when you push towards the cloud, how do you have a console exclusive in the cloud? Because you don't have a console anymore. You've got a cloud, which then makes it a Microsoft ecosystem. And I think there's also a very, very early bit of conditioning there to say you need to stop. From Microsoft's perspective, it might not be a console exclusive anymore because there might not be a console.
Yes, we're just saying that out from that, and you've actually seen the language on Twitter out from their executives over the last couple of days. This cloud is part of our strategy going for that was from the marketing man Greenberg. He was pushing that cloud is part of their ecosystem. So it's like you said, conditioning. They're using cloud as a getting people used to it, and now they're pushing on the TVs. And the next step is next generation. Do they push people towards just the app so they don't have to make console? This is where it's dropping them things. So if they come out and say Xbox, we're kind of Xbox Series Super X is coming November 2026, but you can also access it November 2026 in the cloud. I think that's where we're sort of heading. You can still have the physical if you want it, but you can access the same stuff in the cloud. So ecosystem is where we're going, and this is what I say. Oh, I'm just deaf. Thanks, per Lars. This is one of the things. I've lost my train of thought here. I've completely lost where I was going. Where was it? It was the.
You just finished the whole November 26th on the console, or also available in the cloud.
Yeah, it's just ecosystem, and this is why we're seeing everybody buying up these studios, because it's all going to be about content. And I know where I was going. This is why we're going to see Amazon, Microsoft, and Google will all be massive in cloud gaming. It's will they have their own platform where they're going to sell their goods, or proper platform. And when Microsoft are committed, we're still waiting on Amazon and Google to show their cards. Or I think Google may look like they've pulled their cards from the table, but that's another thing. When do you think Stadia will expand in Mexico? They said this year, didn't
December, I think.
I'm going to go November. So they've already said November. That's one. Do you think Stadia will expand to more countries than just Mexico, Turkey, for example? I think they possibly will. Will Google or immersive stream for what's it called? Immersive stream be available more places? Absolutely. Will they push Stadia? I think that's more of a debate.
And I think, well, we've seen that with the announcement earlier this year, wasn't it? It was immersive stream for gaming was almost the lead.
Yeah.
It's going to be available here. And then it was kind of like, oh, and Stadia's going to be available as well. And I think that's, and I remember we spoke about that earlier in the year, in that kind of switch in the language was immersive stream for gaming first. Stay, by proxy, Stadia exists if Google, if immersive stream for gaming is there. And that, I think that is something that you'll see if they decide to kind of continue to expand it. That's something in terms of language that I think you'll see more of, because realistically, if you make that service available, you make it available to a huge audience, or a potential huge audience in terms of, people that you can work with, in those localized regions. Then when you've then got Stadia, that Stadia will then work in that region if you've got that, that big chunk working.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I hate using the word interesting. It took them so long to announce even the Mexico one, and that's the frustration. They just seem to be crawling along, just like Luna. Luna's apps. If Stadia is crawling along, I don't know what Luna would be. Not even moving.
I mean, they are. Luna themselves are beating to a whole other drum. but equally, the money's still being spent, if that makes sense. I think, but for very different reasons, I think they're both equally as unpredictable as the other.
Yes, they are, and it's. I can't even speak. It wouldn't surprise anybody if both services decided to come out all swinging and all dancing and just drop a couple £1 billion acquisition just like that. And it wouldn't surprise you at the same time if they decided just to shut everything down.
Yeah.
Just like that. And that's the sort of issue people have with Amazon and Google. You just don't know where they're going. Let me see. Next question. When do you think we'll be able to pre-order the Logitech G Gamer? I don't think we're going to be that too far for that now, because they did say later this year, did they? Or were...
trying to think, actually. Just looking just to see if there's a date.
Okay.
I can't see any mention of a date. But then, yeah, I mean, obviously, with it being Logitech's chip, possibly you might see. I mean, put it this: it's the kind of device that you either hit the holiday season to get it in people's hands over the holiday period and capitalize for the fact that your PlayStations and your Microsofts are saying there might be a shortage, we might not have enough to fulfill the holiday season. Try and get something else into people's hands, possibly. So it would make sense to say holiday season.
Yeah, there was. I've just looked at the press release. There is no date on it. So, I think it's either November. The November time is the peak, or you push it and do a gentle build into it. Google has the keys to the kingdom with Stadia, as it is so good. Nothing even close to it. It is slowly dying because of the. I'm telling you now, Stadia is. It's not even close to GFM 3080. It's not. It doesn't even get a whisker off the 3080. It's miles away. I know cloud gaming is all depends on your network conditions and stuff like that, but hands down, the 3080 is. It's not even close. With xCloud for me is on par with Stadia for a lot of the games, which I know annoys people when I say that, but unfortunately that's true. But I do know there has been a lot of talk, or there's not a lot of talk. I've seen some talk that some people's Stadia connections have got better, which has been good. Personally, I can still say that mine is worse than it was when it started. When I was back as a founder, and the first 6 months to a year, Stadia was absolutely flawless, and then it started to decline. And it's you can tell. For me, I can tell I'm streaming on Stadia now, which is not good. But I think we can all agree with is the lack of AAA games, and the announcements over the last wee while have been pretty underwhelming. Our video on Sunday, where I went on a bit of a rant about it, there's been a lot of talk about Dead Island 2 coming to Stadia, but everybody tends to forget about PGA, Hogwarts Legacy, Tales of the Borderlands. There was dozens and dozens and dozens of games announced at Gamescom, and they aren't coming. You had one announcement from Gamescom of a game coming to Stadia, and then was, and that Barry recover me from throwing Stadia under the bus.
No, I mean, do you know what? I think I'm trying to think of other words to use other than the Okay, I could use these words. Stadia is the. I still think for me, Stadia is the convenience option. I'm not, and that's not me saying that any other cloud service is not convenient. But and I think that it goes without saying, if you want the closest to shall we say, a console experience, and to be able to go button press, select game, button, done. What Stadia does in terms of how it delivers that, it does it exceptionally well. The problem, sorry,
I was going to say xCloud for me. I think so.
I was just about to say
No.
the problem you've got is people like Microsoft have now clocked on, and now you can open an app and you can go click done, and it's also on Samsung Smart Hub TVs for 2022 in there. And that for me is the problem. What they once had as a concept 3 years ago, that I'm not going to go into the way, the route to market, but what they had 3 years ago to what they had now, to some degree, is not tremendously different. And people talk about Stadia's tech a lot, and you you can appreciate the way that it does what it does, but the thing is, when you are one of the first to market, or you're the more prominent to market early on, you leave yourself wide open to being caught by other people. And I think that's what's happened. If we look at not just the gaming sphere, if we look at cloud gaming, if we look back at 2019, early 2020, in terms of cloud gaming, we were all absolutely hammering Stadia because it was quick, it was easy. There were some really big titles that were available that everybody was enjoying. It was cultivating and creating some really good community. And then in terms of other services, nothing did it as quick and as slick as Stadia did at that point in time. As we've then progressed through the latter part of 2020, 2021, and then into this year, everybody else in the marketplace has caught up with what was once, I guess, a leading way to deliver that kind of concept to a general consumer. And that's the biggest problem that they've had. It feels, and I'm not saying this is the case, I'm saying it feels like they were ahead, and they went, we're ahead, we know we're ahead, let's throw money at getting games, blah, blah, blah. Didn't get the results, but then they stopped a lot of the work. I still personally believe that with regards to Stadia, there is a lot more there that could have been done and could have been crafted and shaped in terms of technology to deliver. And I fortunately, I think they hit the pause button because they were at a point they felt like they were head and shoulders above the rest, and they've got caught.
I think this point here by Shard Talk absolutely nails it. What's Xbox's market or Xbox market? It's Xbox people. GFN's PC. What is Stadia's, and it's a niche within a niche. It's like I hate to use this term, but we'll use it. Dad gamers who are low in time and just want to play it when they can, and they have to be invested in this sort of cloud gaming and being cutting edge. Yeah. And I think that's where Stadia is a niche within a niche, and that's maybe being a bit harsh. And the problem is they are not getting the games for that niche.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've spoken before. How many times have we done stuff? One of the main reasons that I stopped using Stadia as much as I did was I'm very appreciative that because of my love for technology, Stadia got me back into gaming more than I was, because I'd slipped out of that gaming habit. I'd kind of slipped out of it, in Stadia Stadia got me to a point where actually it got me to re-engage with gaming. And The problem was my gaming appetite. Then it lit that fire, it rekindled, and my appetite grew bigger than the platform that drew me back into it, which meant I needed something else.
And that is the problem, and we're seeing that time in the game. We see that all over the people talking about it all the time. Stadia got me back into gaming, and then they've went and got Xboxes. They've got Steam Decks now. They've went to GFN. It just doesn't have enough of the games that matter. And the way I summed it up in one of my tweets on Twitter today, I think Stadia Pro, everybody goes, oh, you don't need to have Stadia Pro to play on Stadia, but everybody subscribe, or the vast majority of people subscribe to Stadia Pro to get the games. And this month, the Stadia Pro games are not as good as Xbox games with gold. And if Xbox games with gold is better than your Pro games, you know you're flipping struggling. Sorry.
No, I know, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, do you know, for me, the single biggest argument for Pro?
Yep.
1080p bitrate stream is absolutely appalling on Stadia. The actual bitrate that it streams at 1080 is not good enough. So a 4K 30 or an upscaled, recycled image running at that resolution is a higher bitrate, which means you're getting a better quality, whereas it makes up for the fact that the 1080 stream and the bitrate is poor. It's not good enough. And that for me, you know, forget the games. If you were so heavily invested in it and you just want a bit of quality, spend the £8 just for that, because the 1080p stream's not good enough.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's enough Stadia bashing. I'll let you answer because I can't think of Tencent games at the moment. Word is it that Tencent and Logitech are working with Microsoft and NVIDIA. What could Tencent bring to GFM?
Do you know what? I think there's actually lots. There's actually loads. And I can't. There's almost that many that I can't even think of anything off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think the problem is they've got lots of bits of lots of ones, and you forget how many they actually have. The Turtle Rock Studios is one. The Blipper team's already on there. They've got a bit of From Software, Riot Games. So maybe think, what's it called? Valorant. Get Valorant on the GFN. I know they. I'm hoping that they do. But Colin, thank you for joining. F is here.
Evening or afternoon, I should say.
Do you think Luna is too passive, and who is to wake up first, Google or Amazon? If you're talking about the cloud gaming space, flip a coin. Amazon are really heavily in game dev, and they've got so much going on in games. So I don't think you have to worry about Amazon as a gaming company.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair point. I think they're more heavily invested in that side of it. Is Luna too passive? I don't know. There's a part of me that almost feels like their trajectory is, I don't want to say too calculated, but there's a part of me that says that they're still within some threshold of their calculations of where they thought they might be.
Yeah, I don't think passive's the wrong word, because their campaigns are pretty strong, and stronger than Stadia's by an absolute landslide if the streamers are getting involved. But coming outside the US, I think that's where they are. They really need to do that. But Okay, here comes the rant since Andy has decided to go for it. How does Duncan feel about GoFundMe
Just going to put
campaigns?
myself on mute.
Yes. This is about the Kickstarter out there for Stadia. And I think it's an absolute shambles is the wrong word. I think it is absolutely disgusting what they are doing. And they are preying on Stadia, hardcore Stadia people to go back their campaign and they don't even get the game. They're asking $30 and like $70 to back this game with you've got a couple of hurdles to actually come out from this here. Firstly, the game has to be made, and then the game has to be put onto Stadia. They're not guaranteeing that the game is going to go onto Stadia, and you don't even get a key for a PC version or an Xbox version. It is just for goodies. I think this is absolutely playing on the Stadia community out there, and I can't believe people that are actually encouraging people to go and back this. I think it is absolutely shameful, and I wish there was more people coming out to actually call this behavior out and stop the preying on the Stadia people out there, because it's just not right. Just because they show Stadia a bit of love doesn't mean you have to back them to the hilt. Go read the Kickstarter and just realize you're not getting the game on anything. You're just backing it in pure faith. Kickstarters are normally backed in pure faith, but you're it's like double pure faith. You're backing it that the game is going to be made and then brought to Stadia, and where you're going to have to buy it anyway. I would advise people not to back that campaign, just like I would have, which I advise people not to back the other one. What was the other one called? Sky Climbers. And you've seen what's happened with Sky Climbers. That has been an absolute shambles. This one has got even more alarm bells. Not only are they not giving you a game, the game that they actually released is one of the worst review games of I can actually remember, getting 1-star reviews and stuff like that. Caution, do not go for this. And yeah, that's it. And Barry's just going to go nothing. Oh,
no. I think Kickstarters. Well, yeah, I think Kickstarters aren't a new thing. If you know what the risks are, you know what the dangers are. Absolutely, that you stand to gain nothing, potentially. And for me, you hit the nail on the head. Just make sure you read everything contained in it, because to support something's development everywhere else, to hope that it arrives elsewhere, personally feels a little bit like fundamentally flawed logic, because ultimately, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, if there's not enough of a noise about it that it won't get picked up. But as a game developer who wants to get their game made, where do you want it? You want it where the most people will play it. And I think that for me is that's the thing that you need to be aware of. If you're prepared to back it and have to play it elsewhere, then fine, not a problem. But just make sure you read the fine print.
It is just absolutely preying on the community, and I hope and I pray that some of the Stadia community leaders come out and call this out as well. But it's a sort of good news story about Stadia that there's a game maybe coming, but the way they're doing about it, it needs to be called out. And I very much doubt that anybody will do that, because it's not in their interests to do it. This is what frustrates me. There will be people going out cheerleading this game, even though it is absolutely 100% preying on the Stadia community. And I just feel sorry for anybody who doesn't actually see what they're doing here. And it's just mad that people are going to are promoting this game up to high heaven, and it is obviously just as a ruse to get money to put the game on the other platforms. And I just hope people don't put money they can't afford into backing this game, which may not even come out. And if it does come out, it may not even actually get onto Stadia. It's just very, very poor. Okay, so there we go.
Feel better now.
I feel better now. Yes, but I just hope people will call it out. But I very much doubt it they will, because it's you know what it's like. Gandara, thanks for joining. Phil Harrison, yeah, there was some sort of thing that's going back to that. Polaris, again, thank you for joining and doing that. Okay. I always say Kiefer, thank you for joining. He thinks that Amazon skips up EA.
If that happens, people are. Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I know we were talking about EA maybe not being in the best place, but if that happens, I think people are going to take note.
Yeah.
People are going to listen.
Yeah. What? I've lost where I am. Where am I?
Hang on 2 seconds.
Okay, Happy's got another question. If there's a next-gen console, it will be sold with profit down date, and most will be forced to the cloud.
Where have you got? If there is a next-gen console, it will be sold with profit day and date, and most will be forced onto cloud gaming. Ooh. I think it's difficult because I think with console hardware, I think it's generally recognised that they don't make money on them, because the money is made elsewhere in the software, the services, the add-ons, the additionals, not the main bit. And I think if they were to be honest with you, I personally, I would say I don't necessarily see it the same way, because if they did another generation of console that made profit day and date, I don't think many people would buy it. So I think the profit would be they might sell one and go, yeah, we made a console, we made a profit on that. I use one as an example. I'm not saying they'd literally sell one. They might sell one and make a profit on that unit, but it wouldn't be as widespread demand, because I think they'd price themselves out of the market if they tried to make a profit.
Yeah, it all depends how much of a big jump they want to do. And you're right there. It's everything comes back to the games, and that's where they make most of their money. So that's the Xbox and the PlayStation are getting sold, or were getting sold at a loss, and they made their money up. And that's why the PlayStation I got the PlayStation 5 digital edition. That's why it was so competitively priced, because I have to buy every single game digitally, and that's that. Yes,
could be a costly move.
Not after today. Speaking of which, did you see the PlayStation games for next month?
I've skimmed them very briefly. There was some interesting ones in there.
I might actually play Deathloop now.
Do you know what? A great game for the service. It's genuinely good. It is a great game, and it's a really good implementation of the DualSense. The way the triggers so when the gun gets jammed, the way the haptic feedback, the trigger kind of works, and every gun feels different with the triggers as well. It's a really good implementation of it.
See, this is the thing as well. Just talking about the PlayStation, obviously we talked about Deathloop there, which won't be available in the cloud, or was there a place? No,
Don't think so. No,
that won't be available in the cloud, but the other games will be there, and that's just adding to the library which is there, which is absolutely massive. And this is the problem that Luna and Stadia have. They've got the big, massive games are part of that subscription, and Stadia's big game of the month is a throwaway line in the PlayStation one, and Spiritfarer is going to PlayStation Premium, and that isn't even nowhere. It's overtaken by all the other games.
Yeah, and that's leaving Game Pass as well.
Yeah, it's really, really interesting there.
The one thing I will say though is, we've been critical on on Luna tonight, and I think in terms of kind of not necessarily keeping that up, but maintaining balance. The one thing that PS Plus Premium have got to get better at is getting the games that they announce working on the service earlier. We've only had Stray available for 10 days, and that was an August game, and we're at the end of the month. They literally pushed out that update probably 10 days ago, where a vast majority of what they said in August that would be available, is being done. And that's something they have to get better at. They have to get much more into that rhythm of being ready to say, that's a September game. Okay, well, do you know what? From September, not the end of September, from the start of September, that game's available.
They do need to get better at that. But the games they have are just outstanding. I'm still waiting, and I think it's going to be a November one. I've said at the beginning of the year. I think we're going to get Gran Turismo on PlayStation Premium this year because it's gassy, and I wouldn't be surprised with Ratchet and Clank still isn't on it, so I'm expecting that to go as well. Like I said before,
carry on.
I was going to say, like I said before, PlayStation and Xbox are in the same position, but the games they have are in reverse. Xbox have got the gas games already on there. They need their single player games, and PlayStation's got the single player games. They need the gas games, and we're starting to see them recover. Yeah. So sorry.
No, I was just going to say one of the ones that I do really want them to add to PS Plus Premium is Sackboy. I don't know how that's not made it on already, but I really the Sackboy Adventures. I really want to see them add that.
Yeah, it will be fun. I wanted to get that game, but the price put me off it.
It regularly dips below 30, so I think I said a thing earlier. It was 25, 26 quid on Amazon.
Yeah,
but it's and the other one I'm thinking Horizon Forbidden West. With the way that price has dropped lately, that's had a couple of significant price drops. I think that may even well be on PS Plus Premium by the end of the year.
Which game was that again? Sorry.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Yeah,
it had huge price drops recently. It was like over in the UK, it was like 23, 24 quid a few weeks back.
I think they're going to use that as a kickoff for next year, a year after release. Do your mobile stores over here sell gaming consoles like they're doing in the US now? Partly corroborated, but everybody is trying to cash in. Yes. And over here in the UK and in Europe as well, competition is fierce. If you sign up to buy like an iPhone or a Pixel or whatever mobile phone you want, sometimes they throw in a games console just to force you to, not force you, to encourage you to actually go there. But you can actually get consoles and everything up through your mobile phone companies now as well, so they are really pushing it. And obviously you've got Game and Smiths do the all access for Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see here. Mr. Urban World, thank you for joining. Yeah, again, it all comes down to games. We are starting a new game series here. Every Saturday, we're going to call it Saturday. We're going to put out a free game on GFM because there's over 100 of them, and there's games in there which you may not actually know about because there's a load of strange games and delightful games which you can actually go on to that.
It sure is.
Yeah. Just talking about games which are needed. GFN needs more sports games. Absolutely. I want FIFA, Madden, and stuff like that onto it.
Yep.
I'm just trying to see which one. Is there any news about stream quality in your Android device? I'm trying to think. Would that be about the Logitech?
No, I think there was a further asterisk xCloud after that comment. I think it's probably 3 or 4 comments below that. I think, or something like that.
Yeah, xCloud in Europe. xCloud in Europe. In Belfast, xCloud works fine for me, and it's on par with Stadia. So I don't know where I'm connecting to, because we're a special breed in Northern Ireland. We could be connected to bloody anywhere. But I think you're having similar experience over there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, off Wi-Fi, it's not an issue, but in 5G areas, playing on xCloud is perfectly playable. And obviously, I use the Z Fold, so it's a much bigger screen, and I've not had any issues with it at all recently.
Yep. Yeah. For people who don't know, go check out that absolute head the ball, Carson Kelly. That's another game, Talking Dogs. There's Talking Dogs 2, 50, all out there. And now Carson Kelly has opened up a studio in Japan. On putting my serious head on here, actually go and look at some of his other activity and his other game studios. That's all I'm going to say about that. Columbus Gaming, thanks for joining. See, yeah. Unfortunately, that would be true. Okay. What is the best game?
Duncan? Yeah. Carry on.
Was it this one? No.
Which one? I'm not saying it.
Oh, you say you've got one for me?
I was just going to say there was one that I felt that you might be pretty well placed to answer, which was kind of off topic, but what's a good retro handheld to play games like MK3 and Street Fighter?
Okay, I will get onto that in a sec. What's the best cloud gaming service, and what handheld for cloud gaming do you recommend? Oh, do you want me to go first? What is the best cloud gaming service? It is the cloud gaming service with the games you want to play on it. Is the one to start off with. If you're looking for what is the best, as in the best performing, the best looking, the best whatever, the top-notch one, if all the conditions are running well, then it's GFM. But it all comes down to the library. If you don't like the games which are available in the library, that is where things get a bit more murky. If you're looking for your most rounded, I would say, I would probably go xCloud as the rounding one. If you want the most talked about one and the easiest one to actually try for free, that would be Stadia. Or if you're in the US and you've got a Prime subscription, because the games come in the Luna plus this month are pretty good. Try out Luna. But for me, if you're looking for the most rounded, probably xCloud. The best, if you like the games, is GFN. Nothing comes close to that one. That's where I am. For the handheld, mobile phone and Kishi.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. Definitely.
Even though I've got a Steam Deck, I do not do much cloud gaming on it because I just prefer playing locally. If I'm going to play a game, I'm going to play it locally on that. But if I'm out and about, it would be Kishi on the iPhone. So what about you?
In terms of the best cloud platform, I think the similar tact in terms of the approach that you took. Some depended on your network conditions at home, and obviously the location that you're based in. We see all the time people get different experiences on different platforms. I've seen people have in the US, for example, have a really bad experience with Luna, a really bad experience with xCloud, and a great experience with Stadia. We've seen so many different combinations because everybody's experience is different. So I would probably say, depending on where you are, try each of the three options to see actually in your network conditions where you can kind of test and repeat, a number of games, see which one actually works the best. Then kind of feed from that, then maybe allow that to kind of factor the library, maybe what you want to play, and then kind of start balancing that, that in. I'm with you in terms of tech. Put it this way: nobody else other than Nvidia are providing you with a 3080 to play in the cloud and input latency that's lower than a physical console. If you're a tech junkie and that's what, and you want the absolute best, and you want to be adding Steam games, you want to be adding Epic, GOG, Ubisoft, different launchers, without a doubt, from a technological perspective, there is no question.
Yes. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining. The person, or what I was celebrating, is Bobby Firmino just scored for Liverpool, so that's why I'm happy. If you're looking for a handheld to complement cloud gaming, Steam Deck and GFN hand in hand, you can't go wrong with that. Let me see. Mauser Golas, I probably said the name wrong. Thank you for joining. Do we think we could see more Lego games following this Lego game coming? Because this is our second Lego game on.
Yeah, it is our second one.
This one's more in the style of the other sort of Lego games, so I'm hoping it does. For people who don't know, it was announced yesterday on Twitter by GFN that Lego Brawls is coming to GFN this week. So it's pretty cool. It's also available on Apple Arcade if you want to try it out now.
There you go. Nice.
But
what you Apple plug in there?
My Apple plug. We're covering the Apple show next week, so we are. So if you want to join us when I get go, I want everything. But what do you think?
I mean, I'd like to say yes. The only thing I'd say is there might be a variant. I think maybe the variant and the developers could be the key in terms of which Lego games we get available. Possibly. I now own a stack of Lego games, so I'd absolutely love it if it paved the way for more of them, because they are brilliant fun. They're great to experience, but I'm not sure. I'm on the fence. I know that's not the best answer. I'm on the fence. I'm not sure what way. I don't want to read too much into it early on. It's great that we've got another Lego game being added, but I think it's more in the developer behind that are doing that Lego franchised game rather than Lego in the mass is potentially going to start drip feeding and becoming available on GFN.
Yep. Let me see. Kind of off topic, what's a good retro handheld to play games like Mortal Kombat 3 and Street Fighter? Them two games aren't on this thing I'm going to talk about, which is
Damn it. I thought I set you up a treat for that one.
Which is the Evercade. It is a handheld, but just a collectible handheld, and you actually get cartridges with it. Absolutely brilliant. Well worth keeping an eye on. If you want to play retro hand games or retro handheld to play games, use your phone. Go to Antstream and you can play retro games. I think Mortal Kombat's there. If not, there's a load of these wee handhelds you can pick up now for like £100, maybe $100, where you can download the MAME versions and the ROMs, and you can do it that way. But if you want to do it all legally and no ifs, buts, or maybes, you can go Evercade or Antstream.
Sorry, I was just checking Antstream to see whether Mortal Kombat 3 was there. I know Mortal Kombat is there, so.
Yeah, but you can pick up these wee retro things pretty decently.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Question: will PlayStation come out and make it easy to play in the cloud? I feel it's a bit expensive to pay for PlayStation Cloud if you don't have a PlayStation 5. Yes, I have a PlayStation 4, but the fan noise. Hi, I'm just going to use my lazy example. PlayStation is Apple, Xbox is Android. PlayStation, you pay a premium because they think they can charge a premium. And we've seen that this last week with the price increase to the consoles and paying £70 for a remake of The Last of Us coming out this week, which I want to get. Have you already got it?
No.
You're tempted?
No.
But PlayStation don't really care about cloud, and I've seen that with their acquisition this week, that mobile is going to be bigger. Cloud's an afterthought for PlayStation at the moment. It's not for them in their strategy, where with Xbox it is. I think that's probably one of the reasons is they don't have the infrastructure. So I think everybody fight it out, and then they'll choose who they're going to lump in. At the moment, they're lumped in with Microsoft, with Azure, but I wouldn't be surprised if they went somewhere else down the lines, because they're not going to be hosting the infrastructure. They can leave it to the last possible moment and go, now we're into it.
Yeah.
So if you want to play your PlayStation games, it will be doing it through the PC app or getting a PlayStation. Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. Oh. Yeah, sorry, I was nodding with you there. I was in agreement. I did not engage the brain to go. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying.
Any news on Stadia Pro deals and sales in September? No, but I don't think it's out in the realms of possibility we'd get an Ubisoft sale next week with the Ubi Connect.
Yes, yeah.
But nothing else there?
No. Nope, I don't think so.
Let me see. And there we go. Kelly saying shocked. Hi, shocked. But I think I think we will leave that there for now.
Very quickly, before we do move on, just to cover off Kratos, the Ghost of Sparta's question, because it does feed back into what you were talking about. about our game series that we're going to have coming up on a Saturday, where we're going to be showcasing the over 100 free-to-play games that are on GFN that are available to play, which, Kratos, then answers your question. Are there free-to-play games on GFN? Yes, there are. There are over 100 of them available.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how many there are. I'm just going to name a couple of the big ones here. Obviously, you've got your Fortnite, you've got Genshin Impact, you've got Apex, you've got Guild Wars, you've got League of Legends, you've got Dota, Rocket League, Path of Exile, Counter-Strike, Rumbleverse, Destiny, Warframe, Asphalt, Brawlhalla, World of Tanks, Lost Ark, Unturned, Dauntless, Guild Wars 2, Idle Champions of a Forgotten Realm, Realm Grinder, which isn't actually a bad game. It's one of my stupid games I like. Super Animal Royale, and the World of Tank series.
It's so bloody difficult.
So there's quite a few games there.
Yeah, no, there is. There's definitely a good selection.
But yeah, so yeah, we're going to be starting that series where we're going to pick a random game and just go for it.
Aye, we will indeed.
So I think that's where we'll leave it. I'm going to hit end stream now before I start talking again. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Catch you later, guys.